We all want to achieve financial success, but many of us commit a cardinal misstep, charting our own path to success by comparing ourselves to others. Our next guest says we need to focus on our own lives and our own capabilities to find real success. Joining us now is Rachel Cruze, author of Love Your Life, Not Theirs, with tips on how to live the life you want. Hi, Rachel. Great to see you.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So, I think we know this instinctually, but you tell us that trying to keep up with the Joneses is just a no-no. You're never going to keep up with the Joneses. There's always another Jones
That's
out
right,
there.
exactly. And in our world today, and like social media, brings them to the forefront constantly. 30 years ago, you actually had to see the Joneses in person to keep up with them, and now we carry them around in our back pockets on our phones. So it's a different world to navigate, but we just have to be aware.
So you just have to live within your own means and learn to spend and save wisely. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yes.
What are your feelings about debt? Should we steer clear from it entirely, or is a little bit of debt okay?
I say steer clear of debt entirely. A mortgage is the one type of debt I'm okay with, but other than that, live within your means, because with debt, that means that debt owns your stuff and you don't own it. And for the average American out there, it takes on a lot of stress, a lot of worry when it comes to them and paying their bills. And so the idea of being able to be debt-free, live without debt, will definitely alleviate that stress.
Absolutely. And what about with your partner? You say communication is key, correct?
Talk about money even when it's hard, and it can be hard. One of the #1 causes of divorce in America today is money fights and money problems. So this is a real thing with couples. So sit down, agree on where your money's going, do a budget together, and say this is where our money's going. And really your value systems end up aligning, and really there's a lot of connection within that.
We all know that there are different money types. Some people are hoarders and savers, and other people like to spend. So if you're in a partnership with someone who's not your same financial type, how do you recommend dealing with that?
Well, more than likely, you're with the opposite, right? I'm a spender, actually. My husband's the saver.
Opposites attract.
They do, yes. So it's probably what's happening. So that's why it's even more important to communicate and sit down. So I would say sit down together and just agree. And so savers, you may have to lighten up just a little bit. Let that spender spend a little bit, but also spenders, we have to rein it in as well. So there has to be a point of agreement.
So learn from each other.
Exactly. Embrace it and try to find the balance between the two.
And now you have an interesting piece of advice, though, because you say no matter how strapped you're feeling, there is one thing you should be giving to, and you say it's charity. Why is that?
Yes, the habit in the book I talk about is give a little until you can give a lot. Because giving not only changes the person or the place you're giving to, but it changes you. I mean, we live in a pretty selfish culture, right? The selfie generation is what it is. It's all about us. And when you stop for a moment and you open your hand and you give a little, it changes who you are. It changes your character and you become selfless. And overall, I believe selfless people, they prosper. They have better quality relationships. They do better at work. And so it really changes you. So no matter where you are, even if it's a little bit, be giving something.
Get more back than you give.
Yes.
Do you have a recommendation for what percentage of your income you should be giving to charity?
Ideally, I would love 10%, but I know that's high for some people. So I would say, again, start where you are. If you can get to that 10% mark, and then in the book, I talk about how to get out of debt, get an emergency fund, get yourself on level ground. That way you can be able to give a lot.
All right, Rachel Cruze, thank you so much for all that.
Thank you for having me on.
Valuable advice.
Thanks.